Project xCloud is the video game streaming service in development by Microsoft. Project xCloud aims to bring console quality gaming to your mobile phone, laptop and to other devices by streaming it via the internet, essentially removing the need for expensive console hardware. Although other video game streaming services exist like PlayStation Now and Google Stadia, these come with some of their own issues. Google Stadia doesn't have a solid lineup of exclusive games and requires you to pay full price for every individual game. And PlayStation Now no longer supports mobile devices, only supporting PlayStation 4 and PC or laptops. For some reason, Sony got rid of the PS Vita and mobile support, which no longer makes PlayStation Now a portable option. Project xCloud, however, offers streaming via mobile devices and on release will support a number of other devices as well. On top of that, the subscription model is a lot more like something that you'd see with Netflix than what Google Stadia is providing. This means that for a flat monthly fee, Project xCloud will offer you access to a wide range of current gen games. Microsoft have been careful not to jump the gun with Project xCloud, aiming to go for a beta release first. Knowing that there's going to be some issues, it gives them time to get feedback from the consumers and fix some of those issues before the main release date. Having been accepted onto the Project xCloud beta, for the past 2 months I've been playing through a number of Project xCloud games. Kick off your shoes and relax your socks for the Project xCloud review. Before we get into the details of the review, it's kind of fair to say that this is really more of a preview than a review. Being in beta, that means there's features to Project xCloud which aren't yet available and will become available on the Project xCloud release date. For example, Project xCloud currently only supports the Xbox One Bluetooth controller and a couple of selected third-party controllers as well. On release, Microsoft have claimed that Project xCloud will actually support the PlayStation 4 controller as well as a wide variety of other Bluetooth controllers as well. Also, currently, xCloud only supports Android devices. After the release date, Microsoft will roll out Project xCloud and we will also see Project xCloud for Windows 10. Now, when it comes to streaming services, I've mentioned in previous episodes that I'm not their biggest fan. For me, it doesn't come down to latency issues or data usage. The way technology evolves, I genuinely believe that these won't be issues too far into the future. And where we're at right now, I think this is the right time for technologies like this to be coming out, so then they have the time to grow and adapt. For me, the issue comes with the appreciation of the media and the art form. Streaming services make it so easy and convenient to consume media that we're almost spoilt for choice. Therefore, we've kind of lost the patience to just sit back and appreciate content. If we're bored within 5 minutes, we're usually jumping over to the next movie, episode, or song choice. And now video games as well. However, the accessibility of that content is a huge bonus. When I was younger, I had all the time in the world to just sit down and enjoy a good video game. However, now with a family, a full-time job, and creating content, finding time to just sit down and play a video game is almost impossible. The best I really get is maybe 30 minutes here or there, and quite often I'm not in front of my TV and my console to use those 30 minutes to play video games, which makes getting into the latest video games that bit more difficult. And this is one of the reasons why I love the Switch so much, portability. But I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit now. Let's take a step back. So I got the email accepting me onto the Project xCloud beta. I grabbed my phone and grabbed my Xbox One controller. I had a Wi-Fi signal, but I decided to go down the mobile data route. The reason for doing that is because if I'm going to use a streaming service like Project xCloud, then most of the time I'm not going to be in a Wi-Fi enabled area. I'll be in my car at lunchtime at work or something like that. So for me, being able to play these games over a mobile data network is kind of essential. I synced my Xbox One controller, which was a really simple 2-minute job at most, and I fired up the app. Straight away I had to log into my Microsoft account, and within seconds there I was, the Project xCloud main menu. The first thing I noticed is that the menu is just simplistic but smooth and effective. It's a visual list of all the games that are available. The controller also seemed to work seamlessly with the menu as well. So I scrolled through the games, and at the time there was 50 Xbox One games on offer. And I was pleased to see that there was a number of pretty recent games, at least for 2019 anyway, including games like Forza 4, Gears 5, Halo 5 and Devil May Cry 5 as well. But on top of that, there was also some great looking indie games as well, with the likes of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night and The Mark of the Ninja. At the time of this recording, the game list has grown to 66, and it's great to see that Microsoft are continuing to put that attention into Project xCloud and grow the library, even while it's in beta form. To put that into context, Google Stadia released with only 22 games available at the full release, with another 40 games coming in the following months. Of all the games available on Project xCloud, the one I decided to start with first was Forza 4. I figured this would be a good pick up and play game for the first test. So I selected Forza 4 and the little rocket started flying across the screen. And shortly after, within what felt like a matter of seconds, maybe it was nearer a minute, but it was really quick, Forza 4 started. But unfortunately, it was really choppy. Now I double checked and I definitely had a full 5 bars of my 4G signal of the mobile data network. But like I said, unfortunately, it was just really choppy. Anyway, I tried to continue, I got through the main menu and got into the intro sequence of Forza 4. I was able to get through the most part of it, but it was mostly unplayable, down to the fact of how choppy the visuals were and even the audio as well. I did actually get into a driving section, but to be honest, I didn't really try for more than like a minute because it was just completely unplayable. And to be honest, I kind of went into this beta not expecting a whole lot, a bit more of a novelty and something fun to try out. I knew it was in beta mode and I know what streaming services have been like to date, so I expected it to be kind of flaky, so I just switched it off for the night and left it there. The next day, I'd pulled up at work with about 10 minutes to spare, and I got my phone out and my Xbox One controller, and I figured I wanted to give Project xCloud a second chance. One, to actually see if it had something to offer, if there was maybe something going on last night that I hadn't realised, but also because I wanted to give it a fair chance to review it for the channel. So I fired it up again with full mobile signal again, but this time it started with no problems at all. It was completely smooth. I went through the main menu, I went through the whole intro sequence, and I even got into some racing, and it was that smooth I'd actually completely forgotten where I was, and I was getting quite immersed in the game, to the point where I had to actually remind myself to get out the car and get into work before I was late. Later that day, I fired up xCloud again at lunchtime, just to see if maybe the morning was a bit of a fluke, maybe there wasn't a lot of people online. But once again, it was really smooth, and I enjoyed a whole lunchtime of playing Forza 4. In the whole month of playing Project xCloud, I've never once again had the same issues I had on that very first instance. The only other times I've ever had issues are when I've clearly had hardly any mobile signal at all. I'm not entirely sure why this is. Maybe my mobile signal wasn't as strong as it was indicating, or maybe Microsoft are actively learning and understanding the different mobile networks or the different devices that are connecting to Project xCloud and improving it as they go along. Either way, I've been really impressed with the speed and slickness at which Project xCloud loads games and gets you straight into the gameplay. To put it into context, I'm able to get my phone out of my pocket and jump into playing one of the latest Xbox One games in a matter of minutes. That's pretty darn impressive. Now don't get me wrong, the service is far from perfect. During some of the more extended playthroughs of maybe 30 minutes or more, I did have the occasional dropout of signal. But we're talking maybe one instance out of 5 playthroughs. And what happens is the game actually just pauses when that occurs. So when you get your signal back, you're able to jump right in at the same point that you were. Now, how the game handles you pausing can have a big effect on whether you lose any progress in the game. Some games pause a little bit more gracefully than others, but that's down to the game, not Project xCloud. Also, in some small instances, I had a bit of stutter while playing through a game as well. And when playing something like Forza 4, that meant as the game was stuttering, especially in the middle of a race, I wasn't able to control the car. But what I was able to do was to just hit the pause button and wait until the stuttering stopped and then continue from then on. So it appeared like the inputs were still being read, but the visuals were maybe having a bit of difficulty coming through. Now I must admit, in the middle of a race, this was pretty annoying. Something else to also note is that there is definitely a consistent lag to the input. At all times, in the best scenario, there was at least half a millisecond of lag. It was rarely ever more than this, but still half a millisecond is noticeable. Now in some games like Bloodstained or Mark of the Ninja, the nature of that game, half a millisecond of lag doesn't really make that much of a difference. and I was able to play through those games without even noticing at all. Now in a game like Forza, the lag is definitely noticeable, but the impact that has is that it makes the cars maybe feel a little bit heavier than they're intended to be. You can still control them once you adjust to that lag, and it isn't as noticeable as a form of lag. Like I said, it just maybe makes a Ford Focus ST handle a bit more like a Dodge Challenger or something. However, for a game like Gears 5 or Halo 5, the lag makes the game almost unplayable, even if it is just half a millisecond. The unpredictable nature of where your enemies are going to be and having to get your crosshairs on them to shoot as quickly as possible means that half a millisecond makes all the difference. And although games like Gears 5 and Halo 5 are fully playable, it means that that lag takes away some of the enjoyment from the game. Now, like we said at the beginning, Project xCloud is currently in beta, and that basically means that Microsoft are accepting that there are going to be issues that they're going to have to iron out. This means that some of these issues are to be expected, and hopefully Microsoft will smooth most of them, if not hopefully all of them, out by the time Project xCloud releases. To fully judge the service right now on any of its current issues seems a little bit unfair, but to be honest, if I had to, I'd still say it was pretty darn impressive. The thing is, go back 10 years ago and show me even a fraction of this kind of technology, and my mind would have been blown. As technology progresses, it's easy to become somewhat expectant and spoilt by it. We also live in a very cynical time where us gamers don't really like the core concepts of gaming being messed with or turned into gimmicks. We've seen lots of great sounding ideas just crash and burn, or not turn out as promising as they'd initially intended to be. So that makes us naturally question any deviation from what we know and love about gaming. Even the Nintendo Switch came across as a bit of a gimmick that could have been doomed to failure when it was first announced. And just look at it now. We still don't know the full details of the Project xCloud price model. We don't know if all the issues will be sorted out, and we don't know the full range of devices that will be sorted. We won't know any of this information until the Project xCloud release date. But when you think about Project xCloud and what it has the potential to become, it's pretty mind-blowing. If we're thinking about it optimistically, then we're talking about current gen gaming without the need for expensive hardware, with a huge list of games, all at hopefully a reasonable price point, and a way to play those games portably. We still face all those problems I mentioned in a previous episode about content streaming and the loss of physical media. There are aspects to streaming that I will just never be happy with as a retro gamer and as a game collector. However, when I look to the positives of this kind of technology and how it fits into my current lifestyle, there's actually a lot to get excited about. Just like using Netflix or music streaming, there's too many potential positives for me to ignore. I expected to come out of the Project xCloud beta with a fun experience and a pretty good episode idea. However, I ended up with a portable gaming option that gave me a great way to play video games whenever I had a spare half hour here or there. I was also able to play through a bunch of games that I previously wouldn't have been able to, as I don't currently own an Xbox One. And I've come out of it genuinely excited to the prospect of a current gen gaming portable option other than the Nintendo Switch. Whether Microsoft will iron out all of the technical issues throughout 2020 is yet to be seen. Honestly, I'll be really impressed if they actually manage to completely remove the lag. I do think there is some time before console streaming reaches its peak. However, alongside continuing to hunt for retro games and building out my gaming collection, I'm now also excited for the future of Project xCloud streaming and ready to embrace it. If you want to show your support for Chronik Spartan games, then you can head on over to chronicspartan.com and check out our indie games. You can become a Chronik Spartan patron at patreon.com, or you can kick off your shoes and relax your socks with some Chronik Spartan merch from tpublic.com. All links are in the description below. But the simplest and easiest way to show your support is to just hit that subscribe button. Thank you for tuning in.